Hi, everybody. Today we are going to prompt with it and rock with it. We're going to talk about prompt hierarchy and we're going to talk about different types of prompts that you might use in your daily life. So, we're going to start from scratch, okay? You guys might know a little bit about a prompt, what it is, but you also might not realize how often you use prompts. All right. So, a prompt is a cue given to someone when they're given a direction or a task. And so prompts can look really different for each learner, right? What do they need? What kind of prompt do they need? How intrusive does their prompt need to be? Also, prompts are so adaptable. We can make a prompt based on what each learner needs. So when you've given a direction, a prompt is anything that comes right after that direction. And like I said, some prompts might be more intrusive than others, and we'll dive more into that in just a minute. So, why is prompting important? Why do we need prompts? Prompts help kind of point learners in that right direction with learning, right? So if they're given a direction and they need help completing that direction, this kind of helps point them in that direction with depending on what kind of prompt they need, right? They could use something less intrusive, like a verbal or a visual prompt. Or they could need something a little bit more like a gestural prompt, maybe some like modeling, show them what we're asking them to do. We also can go into those more intrusive prompts, such as full physical or partial physical prompts. Prompting can also increase responses, right? So when we're talking with students, those students that need those extra prompts, that extra support to kind of cue them to get the right answer or to respond. And prompts can decrease frustration, right? We all need help with something when we're doing it. And whether that is like us as adults receiving some type of prompt to continue with something, or even a gestural prompt, maybe if you're in a staff meeting and you're on your phone, right? Someone might point to you or give you some type of look, right? We all kind of get those daily prompts, those daily cues often. We might not even know it. In an article by Singer, children with autism spectrum disorders often require prompts to learn new behaviors and fading strategies, right? So this is to prompts are also used when we're working with students with autism clients, those learners that need those extra support when learning. So this is our prompt hierarchy. Take a look at it. At the top, you see independence, right? That's where we want all of our students, all of our learners to be. At the bottom, you see full physical. And you see those arrows in the sides. In our yellow arrow, we have most to least prompting, right? So that we're talking about most intrusive is at the bottom with our full physical. And our least intrusive would be that independence or kind of that visual verbal cue. And then we look at the other side and we see least to most prompting, right? And so we have our least intrusive way down to our most intrusive with our physical prompts. All right, so we're gonna get started and we're gonna talk about a visual prompt. So take a look at these two pictures on the left side. These are something that you might see often if you work with younger students with autism. This says stand, this says sit, and it kind of gives that verbal cue, right? And then we also have these over here that might be like unpack your backpack, stand in line, right? It's time for math. With visual prompts, you might see that people use pictures, maybe a visual schedule to help keep them organized, a drawing, a photo, maybe a video too. Oftentimes we might see visual schedules made for a learner, right? If they need those cues of what's coming next, what have I already finished? Also, for us adults, maybe we're going to the grocery store and we have made a grocery list. I cannot go to the grocery store without a grocery list. That's a written list. That's our visual prompt, right? Our next one that we're going to talk about is our verbal prompt. And we see this a lot. As I said earlier, with our prompt hierarchy, we're kind of going down the chain, right? So each one that we keep talking about, it's a little bit more intrusive. A verbal prompt is using words to kind of guide what's next, right? So we might even hear like a sound that we make, maybe a repetition of directions. So we might say, get your pencil out, get your pencil out, right? We're kind of giving into that verbal prompt. We're giving them that cue, or even saying part of the answer. So if you're counting in math, you might say, what comes next? That's our initial question, right? And we might say 5, 6, right? We're giving kind of that verbal cue to kind of help guide them. Our next prompt that we're going to look at is going to be our gestural prompt. When you're a gestural prompt is kind of when you're gesturing maybe or pointing to something. So this could be like nodding, maybe making eye contact, looking at an item. So if maybe there's a direction, put the paper on my desk, you might point over to your desk and remind them where it is. Or pick up your pencil. So you might point to the pencil, show them what you're talking about, kind of with that nonverbal cue. So notice you see in this picture, she might have asked, point to the mango, and then she's pointing to it so that the child can point or say to it. Our next one is modeling. So right here you see in this picture, it looks like maybe the adult has drawn a picture and maybe the child is trying to copy the picture or listening to some directions. Modeling is when you're demonstrating something, right? You're showing the learner what to do. So if you say, throw a ball, maybe you might model how you want that to be thrown. What does that look like, right? You're demonstrating to the learner what you've asked. This also could be shown with like maybe showing how to clap your hands, or modeling how to draw something, right? Maybe if you're drawing that house down there, you start with a triangle and then you draw the triangle too. You also can do maybe like role play, right? With your modeling, you can teach a kid how to play. Maybe that learner struggles at recess with sharing or communicating with others. And so you can model that explicitly. Another prompt that we look at is partial physical, right? So we look at our partial physical prompts. This is not a full physical prompt. All right, this is as you notice in the picture right here, her hand is touching the learner's elbow. And this could be kind of maybe like someone is physically guiding the learner, but maybe more with like a tap or a nudge, right? Kind of as like a little reminder. So maybe if the student isn't holding their pencil correctly, somebody can tap on their hand and remind them to fix their pencil grip. So this is less intrusive than our full physical prompt, but as we go down that prompt hierarchy, it is getting more intrusive each time. Our last prompt that we look at is our full physical prompt. Full physical prompt is doing hand over hand and physically helping that learner. So we're gonna, let's prompt with it. 2 hands this time. This is like when you're using 2 hands. We're looking at this full physical prompt. So this is the most intrusive prompt as well. So you may be doing hand over hand to wash their hands, right? You're guiding that child's hands as you are helping washing them. Maybe with writing their name, you're holding, you're doing hand over hand and holding their hand on one paper to keep the paper still, and then you're using your other hand to help them write. Or even with cutting, right? So you may hold the paper and cut hand over hand with that child too, to show them. As you can see in the picture, she's doing hand over hand with some writing as well. So like we discussed with our prompt hierarchy, at the top, it is the least intrusive. And at the bottom, it is the most intrusive type of prompting. So obviously we want to promote independence. And so when you are prompting, come up with a game plan of how you're going to kind of decrease these prompts to further support independence. Here are my references. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Thanks.